Did you know that 80% of us are walking around with a cellular deficiency that no amount of expensive pills seems to fix? Magnesium is the master mineral responsible for over 300 biochemical reactions in your body. Yet despite a $170 billion supplement industry, we are more exhausted and stressed than ever. Here is the cold, hard truth. That $30 bottle of magnesium oxide in your cabinet has an absorption rate of less than 4%. You are essentially paying a premium for a glorified laxative that your cells never even recognize. While Big Pharma profits from selling you synthetic rocks in a bottle, there is a forgotten alchemy sitting in your kitchen. Imagine a solution where a $2 jar of organic greens and raw sea salt undergoes a transformative biological process, turning dormant minerals into chelated powerhouses that bypass your digestive gatekeepers. This isn't just about DIY, it's about a radical biological upgrade. Today we are stripping back the marketing labels to expose the magnesium supplement trap and rediscovering the wild mineral brine, a traditional fermentation secret that delivers bioavailable minerals in a way no laboratory can replicate. You've been paying for a weak imitation. It's time to unlock the real thing. In the modern wellness landscape, a new ritual has taken over the nightstands of millions across the United States and Europe. It's the clinking of plastic bottles, the swallowing of oversized white capsules, and the desperate hope for a better night's sleep. Magnesium has been rebranded. No longer just an element on the periodic table, it is now marketed as the ultimate anti-stress miracle, a panacea for the burnout generation. From sleek Instagram ads featuring minimalist packaging to high-end boutique pharmacies in Manhattan, the message is singular and seductive. You are deficient, and this bottle is your only salvation. The market data reflects this obsession. The global magnesium supplement market is currently exploding, projected to reach unprecedented billions by the end of the decade. Consumers are told that because our soils are depleted and our diets are processed, we must rely on these laboratory-pressed pills to maintain our heart health, our bone density, and our mental sanity. We've accepted this narrative without question. We buy into the premium labels, the triple strength promises, and the doctor-recommended seals of approval. We have been conditioned to believe that health is something that can be manufactured, standardized, and sold back to us in a convenient, shelf-stable format. But here is the mounting tension that the industry's marketing departments refuse to address. If we are consuming more magnesium supplements than at any point in human history, why are the symptoms of deficiency reaching epidemic proportions? Anxiety is at an all-time high. Chronic fatigue is a global shadow pandemic. Muscle cramps and insomnia remain the hallmark of the modern worker. We are pouring billions of dollars into these solutions, yet the biological needle isn't moving. The illusion lies in the definition of supplementation itself. We've been led to believe that a milligram is a milligram, regardless of its source. We look at a label that says 500 millionasen and assume our cells are receiving a 500 milliliters upgrade. This is the great commercial deception. The industry thrives on our ignorance of delivery systems, focusing on gross weight rather than cellular integration. We are witnessing a massive disconnect between commercial success and biological reality. While the bank accounts of supplement giants swell, the human body remains starving in a sea of synthetic plenty. We are paying for the idea of health, while our actual physiology remains locked in a state of quiet, mineral-starved desperation. The question we must ask is not how much magnesium we are taking, but why the magnesium we are buying is failing us so profoundly. To understand why your supplements are failing, we must look at the chemistry of what you are actually swallowing. The industry's most profitable secret is hidden in a single word: form. If you turn over your $30 bottle of magnesium, you will likely see magnesium oxide or magnesium sulfate listed as the primary ingredient. In the world of chemistry, these are inorganic salts. Essentially, they are crushed rocks. While they technically contain magnesium, their bioavailability, the degree to which your body can actually absorb and use the nutrient, is catastrophically low. Scientific studies have shown that the absorption rate of magnesium oxide can be as low as 4%. This means for every 500 milliliters you ingest, 480 remains unabsorbed, sitting in your digestive tract. This is where the marketing meets a painful reality. When high doses of unabsorbed magnesium salts sit in your intestines, they pull water toward them through osmosis. The result? A laxative effect. The industry has masterfully rebranded this side effect as a cleansing benefit, but in truth, it is a sign of biological rejection. Your body is trying to flush out a foreign substance it cannot recognize. You aren't fixing a deficiency. You are paying for an expensive, glorified bowel movement that leaves your cells just as starved as they were before. But the deception goes deeper. To make these rocks into convenient pills, manufacturers use a cocktail of additives: magnesium stearate as a flow agent, silicon dioxide to prevent clumping, and synthetic glazes for easy swallowing. These binders can further hinder the breakdown of the pill, sometimes causing it to pass through the body completely intact, a phenomenon often joked about by sewage treatment workers who find undissolved vitamin tablets by the thousands. Even the more expensive chelated versions sold in health food stores often fall short. Many commercial chelates are created using harsh chemical processes and synthetic amino acids that the body treats as isolated compounds rather than food. True chelation, the process of wrapping a mineral in an organic sleeve for cellular delivery, is a delicate biological dance, not a brute force industrial reaction. The tension here is undeniable. We are being sold an industrial solution for a biological problem. We are trying to nourish a living system with dead, isolated molecules. Your kidneys and liver are forced to work overtime to filter out the synthetic binders and inorganic salts, turning your quest for health into a toxic burden for your organs. The supplement trap is not just a waste of money, it is a fundamental misunderstanding of how life sustains life. While we chase higher dosages on a label, we are ignoring the only thing that matters: the language of the cell. And as we will see, that language is not spoken in a laboratory, but in the wild, chaotic world of fermentation. To understand why a jar of fermented greens outperforms a high-tech laboratory, we must look at a process that has existed since the dawn of life: natural chelation. In the supplement industry, chelation is a marketing buzzword used to justify high prices. It refers to the process of binding a mineral to an organic molecule, like an amino acid, to help it sneak past the body's digestive defenses. But while industrial chelation uses heat, pressure, and synthetic chemicals to force these bonds, fermentation does it through a beautiful, living alchemy. When you place magnesium-rich plants, like dandelion greens, spinach, or nettles, into a brine of raw sea salt and water, you are initiating a biological coup. You are inviting lactobacillus and other beneficial bacteria to the table. These microscopic alchemists begin to consume the sugars and starches in the plants, but their most important work happens at the molecular level. As they digest the plant matter, they produce organic acids, primarily lactic acid. These acids act as natural solvents, breaking down the tough cellulose walls that lock minerals away. But here is the breakthrough. During this breakdown, the bacteria don't just release the magnesium, they pre-digest it. They wrap the magnesium ions in small organic envelopes of amino acids and peptides. This is wild chelation. Because these minerals are now shrouded in organic life, your small intestine doesn't see them as a rock or a foreign substance. Instead, it recognizes them as food. The mineral amino acid complex travels through specialized transporters in your gut lining, entering the bloodstream with nearly 100% efficiency. You aren't just taking magnesium, your body's actually receiving it. Furthermore, the fermentation process neutralizes anti-nutrients. Many of the healthiest magnesium sources, such as seeds, nuts, and leafy greens, are naturally high in phytic acid and oxalates. In the wild, these compounds are the plant's defense mechanism. They bind to minerals like magnesium and calcium, preventing them from being absorbed by your body. This is why you can eat a pound of raw spinach and still remain magnesium deficient. However, the fermentation bacteria produce enzymes like phytase that dismantle these mineral thieves. They unlock the magnesium that was previously held hostage by the plant's own chemistry. The result is what we call a living brine. It is a liquid teeming with bioavailable magnesium, potassium, and trace minerals, all suspended in a matrix of probiotics and organic acids. Unlike a dead pill that sits like a stone in your stomach, this brine is a bioactive concentrate. It mimics the exact way our ancestors consumed minerals for millennia, not as isolated chemicals, but as part of a complex synergistic food web. Science is finally beginning to prove what traditional cultures always knew. The most effective way to nourish the human cell is not to bypass nature, but to partner with it. We are moving away from the era of more is better and entering the era of biointelligence, where the quality of the delivery system determines the health of the host. Long before the first pharmaceutical plant was built, and centuries before the word magnesium was even uttered in a laboratory, our ancestors understood a fundamental truth. Life is preserved and enhanced through salt and time. History is peppered with references to healing waters and vital brines that were more than just food. They were the foundational medicine of entire civilizations. From the Roman legionnaires who carried flasks of pasca, a mixture of vinegar and water, to the nomadic tribes of the Eurasian steppe who relied on fermented mare's milk, the focus was always on bioavailable hydration and mineral replenishment. In Central Europe, the tradition of sauerkraut was never just about preserving cabbage for the winter. It was about creating a mineral tonic. The old masters of fermentation knew that the liquid left over in the crock, the cloudy, salty brine, was liquid gold. It was administered to the weary, the elderly, and the stressed. They didn't have the terminology for ATP production or cortisol regulation, but they observed the results. Those who consumed the brine had more stamina, calmer nerves, and stronger hearts. In the coastal regions of East Asia, the fermentation of sea vegetables and small fish created umami-rich liquids that were essentially concentrated electrolyte solutions, providing the magnesium and trace minerals necessary for grueling physical labor in the rice fields. The tragedy of the modern era is that we have replaced these sophisticated living cultures with sterile dead alternatives. In the mid-20th century, as industrial food processing took hold, we traded the slow crock for the fast pill. We were told that standardization was safer than wild fermentation. We were led to believe that a white powder in a gelatin capsule was the pinnacle of progress, while the bubbling jars in our grandmother's cellars were dismissed as primitive or even unhygienic. But as we look at the soaring rates of mineral deficiency today, the primitive methods are starting to look like forgotten genius. These ancestral brines were not just sources of magnesium, they were complex ecological systems. They provided the magnesium alongside its natural cofactors, potassium, sodium, and calcium, in the exact ratios the human body evolved to process. Our ancestors didn't need to worry about absorption rates because their minerals were already integrated into the cycle of life. They were drinking the history of the earth, processed through the wisdom of bacteria. By reconnecting with these forgotten liquids, we aren't just making a DIY supplement. We are reclaiming a biological heritage that was stolen from us by the convenience of the industrial machine. Transitioning from the deceptive convenience of the pill bottle to the living alchemy of the fermentation jar requires a shift in mindset. We are no longer looking for a standardized dose. We are looking for a biological partnership. To create a true wild mineral brine, we must focus on two pillars: mineral density and microbial environment. The protocol begins with the selection of hyperaccumulators, plants that are naturally designed by nature to pull magnesium and trace minerals from the deep soil. Dandelion greens, stinging nettle, and beet tops are not weeds. They are mineral gold mines. When these are combined with unrefined gray sea salt, which contains over 80 essential minerals in their raw state, you create the perfect substrate for chelation. The method is deceptively simple but biologically profound. By finely chopping your mineral-rich greens, you increase the surface area for the lactobacillus to work. You pack them tightly into a glass jar and submerge them in a 2% to 3% salt brine. This salinity is the filter. It kills off putrefying bacteria while allowing the magnesium-unlocking microbes to flourish. Within 7 to 14 days at room temperature, the magic happens. The water turns cloudy, the pH drops, and the inorganic minerals are woven into the organic acids and enzymes. The application is where most people fail by overcomplicating it. You don't need to eat a gallon of fermented greens. The power is in the brine itself. Taking just 2 to 4 ounces of this living mineral water daily, perhaps diluted in some spring water or used as a base for a salad dressing, provides a dose of chelated magnesium that your body can actually use. It is a slow, steady infusion of life rather than a sudden, synthetic shock to the kidneys. This isn't just a recipe, it's a protocol for reclaiming your metabolic sovereignty. You are taking raw earth, passing it through the wisdom of bacteria, and delivering it directly to your cells for the cost of a few bunches of greens and a handful of salt. As we transition back to these ancestral rhythms, we must do so with respect, not recklessness. The wild mineral brine is a potent biological concentrate, and like any true medicine, it requires a listening ear. If you are new to the world of living ferments, start slow. Your gut microbiome, likely conditioned by years of sterile industrial food, needs time to readapt to this influx of microbial life and chelated minerals. A sudden surge can cause a healing crisis, mild bloating, or shifts in digestion as your internal ecosystem recalibrates. This isn't a failure, it's a conversation. Furthermore, remember that the quality of your brine is a direct reflection of the quality of your soil and salt. In a world of depleted agricultural land, seek out the wild-crafted or the organic. Your goal is to reclaim the mineral sovereignty that the $170 billion supplement industry has tried to sell back to you in a plastic bottle. True health is not found in a standardized pill, but in the messy, bubbling, and beautiful complexity of your own kitchen. By choosing the brine over the capsule, you are choosing biology over industry and wisdom over marketing. You are finally giving your cells what they have been starving for, the original language of life. As we stand at the crossroads of modern convenience and ancestral wisdom, we have to ask ourselves, are we truly seeking health, or are we just buying a sense of security in a plastic bottle? The supplement industry has spent billions to convince us that our bodies are broken machines that require expensive, synthetic spare parts. But as we've seen, the true alchemy of life doesn't happen in a sterile lab. It happens in the messy, bubbling complexity of a fermentation jar. Magnesium is more than just an element. It is a spark of life, and it deserves to be delivered in its most vibrant, bioavailable form. By reclaiming the wild mineral brine, you aren't just saving a few dollars. You are staging a quiet revolution against a system that profits from your deficiency. You are choosing to trust the 3.5 billion years of microbial intelligence over a decade of marketing trends. Next time you feel the weight of exhaustion or the tension of stress, don't just reach for a pill. Look to your kitchen. Look to the salt, the water, and the wild greens. Remember that the most profound solutions are often the ones we've simply forgotten. If you're ready to stop being a consumer and start being a practitioner of your own health, subscribe and join us as we continue to decode the forgotten truths of the human body. Question the label. Rethink the bottle. Respect the brine.